Happy day one of Summerween, friends. My name's Alexis if you haven't seen my face before, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is a very special day because it is the start of Summerween. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about and just stumbled upon this video, I'll fill you in. So Gabby Reads and Olivia Reads a Latte from here on YouTube. They host a week-long readathon. This is a week for us Halloween spooky lovers to get a little taste of what we have to look forward to in a couple months, but here in summer. They try to host this readathon every year, and this is my first time actually participating and making vlogs about it. So I am very, very excited, to say the least, about what's to come over the next week. If you'd like more information on what exactly Summerween is, you can head to either of their channels, which I'll have linked in the description box below. Let's go ahead and take a look at those before I share my TBR with you guys. I will pop up their post here on the screen next to me, but I will just go ahead and read through them as well. I need the reminder. Their first reading prompt is to read a book in the dark. That's something that I'm not sure which day I will do this, but I feel like I need to challenge myself and read a book in the dark that is absolutely creeping me out. The second is to read a thriller. Third is to read a book that takes place in the fall. The fourth is to read a book with orange or black on the cover. Number 5, and the final one, is to read a manga, graphic novel, or a novella. I actually have no idea what I'm going to do for that one. But some books I have set aside for this next week. This is probably an ambitious TBR, but a girl needs to have some options since this is a 7-day reading challenge. The first book that I would like to read is actually my current read, and I'm listening to it on audiobook, and that is The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I started this in the past reading vlog that I posted, and I'm only 6 chapters in so far. I've had no time to read today. Hopefully before I fall asleep tonight, I can make some really good progress into that and maybe finish it if I'm feeling ambitious. The first physical book that I would like to talk about, though, knocks out the reading prompt of reading a book with orange and black on the cover for Halloween, and this is Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. I have hardly heard this book talked about anywhere, so I'm actually looking forward to picking this one up. I know a few people that follow my bookstagram are waiting to hear my thoughts about what I think. I'll just read the blurb here on the inside flap if you're curious what this one is about. It says, a young native girl's hunt for answers about the women mysteriously disappearing from her tribe's reservation leads to her delve into the myths and stories of her people, all while being hunted herself in this atmospheric and stunningly poignant debut. This is a debut novel, which I am really excited about. And then underneath that, it just says, women may vanish, legends may be forgotten, but she will always remember. If that doesn't interest you, I don't know what does. The next one will take out the thriller prompt from my reading challenge list, and this one is probably the one that I will pick up next because I am so excited to start reading it. My dad also beat me to it and started listening to the audiobook today for this one, and it is Riley Sager's new release, The Only One Left. I like to go into almost all of my books blind, but I know that this story was inspired by the true crime case of Lizzie Borden. On YouTube, I follow Seth Borden, which is a relative of Lizzie Borden herself. So I'm really curious to see how the actual case compares to the story in this book. I've heard people say this is their new favorite Sager, and the twists at the end are insane. Crazier than Unlock Every Door. I want to start reading this right now. Next is a recent pickup from Book of the Month, and that is She Started It by Sean Gilbert. This was a Book of the Month pick from last month, and as the only thriller option, I went ahead and decided to pick it up. I haven't seen any reviews or any thoughts for this. All I really know about this is that a group of girlfriends gets invited to go to a bachelorette party of one of the estranged friends from the group, and it's a tropical getaway, but stuff ends up going wrong. As always, but in the best thriller book way possible. Then the last book I'm thinking about picking up if I have the time is Stacey Tracy Willingham's A Flicker in the Dark. I haven't read any of her books and I own both that she has published, so I figured that it is about time to actually pick this up. I have seen everyone raving about this for literally months, so I want in on why everyone loves this. I probably won't read all 4 of these books, but who knows, I may end up surprising myself. A girl can dream. So the only 2 prompts that I may need to figure out still is to read a book that takes place in the fall. I'm not sure if any of these do. If they do, I might double up or just find another one that will check that one off. And then prompt 5 is one that I still need to locate, which is read a manga, graphic novel, or novella. Maybe through my Libby app, I could pick up Sheets possibly, or I know there is a spooky Faith Erin Hicks that I haven't read yet. So if those are available through my Libby, I'm more than likely going to pick those up. Since it is Summerween, I am planning on using every moment of my free time to read and be spooky, aka I'm not going to be making any unnecessary plans. So it sounds like the perfect reading week for me. If you don't follow me over on Bookstagram, you're missing out. The link to my account is down in the description box. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Here is the TBR picture that I posted for the prompt today, featuring my favorite little duck. His name is Herbert, and he has served me well over the past year. I need to start making dinner and listening to my Frida McFadden audiobook, so when I have an update, I'll check back in. So this is my first check-in for day 1 of Summerween. I know I got a later start on the day today just because I had work, was editing, got a YouTube video posted. It was actually a pretty busy day for myself, so no shame in starting day 1 later. We are still accomplishing some stuff here tonight. I am listening to The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I am currently 50% of the way through, like you can see here, about to start chapter 27. Some quick thoughts that I have on it are, it's very repetitive and I'm tired of hearing the same things over and over again. 2, the flashback chapters are a nice touch. I didn't think we were gonna get that, but I guess without those flashback chapters, it would be really short and wouldn't make much sense, so I'm glad they're there. 3, I have some very strong predictions on who I think the killer was all those years ago, but I'm not sure because I've heard the twists get really twisty towards the end, so who knows, I might be completely wrong. I'm probably just suspecting the guy that as a reader we are supposed to suspect, and it's going to come out of nowhere and surprise the heck out of me. There's been like really loud bangs around my house tonight in the distance, and I don't know what it is. It's kind of giving me the spooks. I keep pausing my audiobook because I'm like looking around like this with my heart thumping out of my chest. I don't know what it is. My 4th and final thing that I wanted to say is that I went on Goodreads to see what all of my other friends have rated it who have read it so far, and almost everybody has rated it 4, 4.5, or 5 stars. I'm listening to this like, am I missing out on something, or is the ending just that next level crazy? Hopefully I can stay up a little longer and read a few more chapters before I head to sleep. I just heard a giant bang outside and rightfully so crapped my pants because it is 12:30. Nothing should be banging, and it was not a firework. I do not know what that was, but I just finished listening to The Inmate. What a segue that was to say I finished a book. Now, I'm coming at you with a little bit of an unpopular opinion because personally, The Inmate didn't blow me away. I'm kind of scared to say that out loud. Just for the record, even though it's technically day 2, we're still counting this as day 1. Brooke, the main character, she is oblivious. She was a pick-me girl. She was just bounding back and forth between these 2 men who could have killed her and put her son at risk. Not the smartest mom in the bunch, but it made her happy. The more that I think about it, the more I'm like, honey, what? How could you put yourself in danger like that? How could you put your son in danger like that? And for you to just be like, oh, it's a coincidence. Oh, I misplaced something. Oh, silly, I was the one who did that. I honestly wish more of the book took place at the prison because that's what I found most intriguing in the first half of the book. But then since she just got a different job, that kind of let me down a little bit. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but the dude she ended up with at the end, I would still feel a little weirded out wanting to continue a relationship with him after everything that they went through together. I guess it's trauma bonding at its finest. Although the epilogue didn't chill me to the bone like I thought it was going to, all I have to say on that is that that boy is going to grow up and be just like his dad. What am I even going to rate this? I didn't even think about it. Just for the sake of this clip, I think I'm going to settle on giving The Inmate 2 stars. And I'm really sad about this because, like I said earlier, this is my first Frida McFadden, so I kind of had high hopes heading into this. Hopefully, if I pick up something else by her down the road, or maybe even in this vlog, it will be a better experience for me. And with that, I am going to head to sleep tonight, and when I wake up tomorrow, I know exactly which book I am going to start reading in the morning. Good morning and happy day 2 of Summerween. I have just spent the morning relaxing since it's Saturday. I laid in bed this morning and caught up on some booktube videos. I relaxed and had some breakfast. I finally got out of bed, and now it is time to start one of my most anticipated reads for the entire year. The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I talked about this yesterday when I filmed my TBR, so y'all already know how excited I am to read this book right here. My dad actually started reading this one yesterday. The last time I asked him, he was on chapter 6, so just a few chapters into this thriller. It'll be fun to buddy read this book with him, even though I'm probably going to speed ahead and I will finish this days before he does, but it will still be cool to read the same book at the same time. It's coming up on 12:30, so I think I'm going to settle in, get all cozy, and start a little reading sprint for myself. I will check back in maybe around the halfway mark if I get there today. I'm sure I will. I'll just want to binge this entire thing. So I just finished chapter 1, and one of the final paragraphs of the chapter has a sentence that says, "But as I push out the door into the biting air of October in Maine." That means this takes place in the fall. And this is perfect because one of the reading prompts said to read a book that takes place during the fall.
You care. The current roster here showing who's available and coordinating with the graduation struggled. You are
In honor of starting that Riley Sager, I figured we would take a quick break and watch some Seth Borden here on YouTube. Hello, I come here with a reading update. So I made it to the 50% mark of The Only One Left. I'm about to head into chapter 23. We're sitting right at the halfway point. Honestly, I don't have much to say about this so far, which is so weird me saying this about Riley Sager, but I feel like not much has happened. This can either go one of two ways. It can go really well and it lives up to the hype, or it could go the other way and it could just leave a bad taste in my mouth like Home Before Dark did. It's been really trippy reading this though, because earlier this year for LaRonda Reads, their book club, we read Daisy Darker. That was my second Alice Feeney book. The first was Rock, Paper, Scissors, which I did not enjoy, but I thought Daisy Darker ended up being a lot of fun. While I've been reading this book, it's been reminding me so much of Daisy Darker. It might just be because there's two timelines, the current day and then there's flashbacks where we are getting what actually happened the night those murders took place. And it might also be because of the characters. In Daisy Darker, it's a very friends and family orientated book, and that is the same case for this one here, because we're trying to figure out what happened all these years ago back in 1929. And although that's a different plot line than what Daisy Darker is, there's just a lot of similars where I keep comparing the two in my mind. Other than that, I'm still listening and reading. Don't really have much else to say. I'll check back in towards the end of the book.
Oh my goodness, I look so sleepy because I am so sleepy. But I just read up until chapter 38. In chapter 37, I would say we get the first big twist of the novel. I guessed it to an extent. I guessed half of it. That can't be the only twist though. If it is, I will be let down, but we still have 8 more chapters left to go. In Riley Sager fashion, there's bound to be more that's going to happen. I'm probably going to wake up in the morning and finish this just so I can knock out a book and then start another one before my parents come over. We're gonna have a little Sunday pizza party tomorrow, so that'll be fun. And I'll have to get my dad's thoughts on what he thinks of this book so far too. What book are you reading?
What's the name of it? The only one left.
Bye.
Riley Sager.
How far are you into it?
About 55% of the book.
Very accurate.
Yeah. A little over half.
What do you think so far?
I love it.
You love it.
I do.
Why do you love it?
Oh, I like the characters.
What's happened so far?
Well, you got this lady, and I think she can do a lot more than what it says in here, but we will see.
Just a random lady.
Just a random lady.
What do you think's gonna happen next?
I think maybe the lady pushed the lady.
There's two ladies.
The one that can't move, I think she actually can move, and she may have pushed her a little off of the ledge.
Which lady?
I can't remember her name.
The one who used to work for her.
Yes.
The maid.
Yes.
You think the old lady
I think the old lady may have given her a little heave-ho.
So you think the old lady can move?
I think so. The only other flip of it might be is that the lady had a baby at one time or other, and I'm wondering if the baby is grown and nobody knows that that baby is living inside the house. I don't know. That's why I want to see the ending.
Do I look well rested? I should, because I just took a 2-hour nap. Alright, so it's Sunday and it's currently the end of day 3. I did a really bad job vlogging today, but I had a little pizza party with my parents. We went out and got some ice cream, so I spent a couple hours with them, and then I ended up taking a 2-hour nap. That was not in the books, but I just laid here and was out. Regardless, I still finished 2 things today and started another one, so I need to fill y'all in on my thoughts. So to start out, before my parents came over, I finished The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And I have some thoughts. Was this a good story? Yes. But I feel like I just can't rate it properly because I feel like I've read this story before. I feel like the concept is reused. If I were to go into this blind and not have read previous thrillers that have reminded me of this, I think I would have been okay and rated it higher. I definitely understand why it's being rated so high, but the thrillers that this reminds me of, to start off, it gives me the messed up family vibes from Daisy Darker, but then at the same time it also gives me vibes of Verity. Y'all don't come at me for comparing this book to Verity, but it follows the same concept of one of our main characters not being able to move their body and also being mute. And just when you mix Daisy Darker and Verity together, this is the book that you get. And if you haven't read those, this would be such a fresh concept for you to read. I know my dad is absolutely loving it, and I can't wait to see what he ends up rating it. I bet he's gonna rate it a lot higher than I did. I read somewhere that his book that's coming out next year is the first one from the perspective of a male. So I'm really looking forward to that concept because in a way I feel like a lot of his female main characters are just copy paste from his other books. And now I'm not saying that I didn't like this. I just wish I would have gone into it with fresher eyes. A lot of people on Book Talk are saying that the twists at the end are too much and came out of left field, but they didn't just come out of nowhere. Literally the entire story is building up until what happened in the last 20% of this book. Between the current day timeline in the 1980s and the flashbacks that we're getting from 1929, I don't know what other twists they would have wanted because the ones that were included, it just made sense for the plot and the characters of the book. So with all that being said, my final rating for Riley Sager's newest book is a 3.5 star. I still had a really fun time reading this. I read this throughout just a couple sittings. Like I already said, I just wish this would have been a fresh concept or a take on the same concept with different twists to kind of shake it up a little bit. So after I finished this, my parents and I went and got ice cream and then we drove around town for a little bit. I sat in the back seat and downloaded a graphic novel so I could tick that reading challenge off of the little checklist that they have. So on Libby, I ended up downloading 1 Year at Ellesmere by Faith Erin Hicks. I absolutely love Faith Erin Hicks' illustration style. She is the one who illustrated Pumpkinheads. I read that religiously every single October since the year it came out. So once I saw that she potentially had a spooky little magical realism graphic novel out, I figured since my Libby had it available, it was the perfect thing to pick up for this readathon. Now here's the downfall. Based off of the cover and the synopsis, I thought that this was going to be a spooky magical realism, a fun time that's perfect for Summerween. But that's not at all what you get while reading this. Honestly, I was pretty disappointed, which I hate saying, but all this graphic novel is think of the Mean Girls movie set at a private school location for all girls, and adding a mythical creature in at the very end for a couple pages in a random enchanted forest that we get absolutely no information about the entire time does not make a graphic novel, or book for any matter, magical realism. I just gained nothing from it, and it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I'm glad I gave it a read, but I will definitely forget about it here in a few months. So with all that being said, I ended up giving 1 Year at Ellesmere a 2-star rating. The characters in this graphic novel were around 13 years old, so if you're looking to recommend a graphic novel for maybe a girl or niece, you know, your friend's kid, someone in your life around that age, maybe they would enjoy it, but for me and what I was looking for, it just wasn't it. Then after all of that, I decided to pick up She Started It by Cyan Gilbert. I'm going to have to look up how to say that name. I am about 25% into this, and boy is it something. Maybe it's because I fell asleep reading this, but we get the perspectives of 5 girls, or 5 women I should say, but they are so snotty and just unbearable to read from. So like they all secretly hate each other, and they just won't come out and say it, so they're all faking it because they all got privately flown to this island for a friend's wedding who asked them to be bridesmaids even though they haven't spoke or seen each other in 10 years. I get that it was paid for, but would you really want to subject yourself to a week of being around that energy and just reliving your past with snotty people? Personally, I know I wouldn't. But that's not what these characters think. So hopefully I'll be able to differentiate all of the characters and their 5 perspectives. Right now they're all just blending together, even though I was really paying attention while reading. So I think I might have to make a list to help me out. This is a debut book for this author, so I'm really interested to see how this one goes. So with all of that, I am going to call it a wrap on day 3 of Summerween and wrap up this reading vlog. I am probably going to put days 4, 5, 6, and 7 together, or maybe split it up in 2. I'm still deciding what I want to do with that because I know I will have work and other things going on after work, so I'm not sure how much reading content I will be able to film just besides updates. So I'll figure that out within the coming days, but thank you guys so much for watching my first 3 days of Summerween. I have had an absolute blast diving into thrillers, and even though they have been doing me wrong, I would really like to find a thriller by the end of this week that I will give a 4 or 5-star rating. I'm just being let down left and right, man, but that is okay. I will catch you guys here soon in the other Summerween vlogs that I will be posting on my channel. Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. I hope that wasn't a jump scare, but if it is, happy spooky week! As soon as I start filming, my mother always texts me, ooh, there's an Amazon Prime deal. Now my dad's texting me. Great job on your video. If you'd like more information on what submarine, oh, that's a sore subject. Oh, my legs, my legs. I feel like blood is gonna start squirting out of my toes.
Maybe if I'm lucky and I don't get too slippy?
I'm gonna get wrinkles on my head if I keep doing that.
Get to the club in my taxi cab. Everybody's looking at me now.